people talk shit and say whatever they want to say, but look at Canelo. Canelo is still the man.
Yes.
You know?
He's been for a long, long time.
And he jumps in there and he does it and he goes to work, and it's hard to stay at that level for a very long time. And Canelo's another guy. I mean, what's this guy clipping 40 mil a fight?
Easy.
Something like that. You know what I mean? Not including what he's making outside of the ring. So a very unique few can do it.
Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. I've seen you go back and forth with Jake Paul before. He's beat a couple of your retired or guys that no longer fight in the UFC. What's your take on Jake?
Yeah, listen, the kid's out there and he's doing his thing and he's making money. If you can,
you making real money, Dana, or are you making?
I don't know. That I don't know. I don't know what he's really making. I believe that he was making the money he says he's making. Mm-hmm. Showtime Boxing wouldn't have gone out of business, and Showtime would have made sure they kept paying him.
Right.
But he's doing it. You know, what do I think of the Mike Tyson fight?
Yes.
Tyson's 58 years old. You know what I mean? Jake fought a guy who was his age and who was also considered a boxer, and he lost. So if you can keep fighting fucking 50-something-year-olds...
You don't think Tyson has a chance?
And making a living at it. I think that Mike Tyson has a puncher's chance against anybody. Mike's 58 years old. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
I hate doing this because Mike gets mad at me every time I do this, but Mike shouldn't be fighting.
I mean, because you look at Jake Paul, he fought Tyron Woodley, slept him, Anderson Silva, I think he fought Nate. Is there, I mean, if he wants to do boxing, why not fight guys that actually box for a living?
100%. Fight guys that box for a living and guys that are your age. How about that?
He says he wants to fight Canelo. I'm just saying what
I hear you. Then why is he not fighting Canelo?
Canelo, I don't think Canelo wants to waste his time.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a fucking 30-second payday for Canelo. So I don't know why Canelo wouldn't do it, you know? But they probably... Canelo can fight real guys and keep his credibility intact and still make that kind of money. You know what I mean? Jake needs these guys. Jake needs Tyson and needs all these other people because that you know, everybody's going to tune in to hope that Mike Tyson knocks him out.
Right.
They're not tuning in because they think Jake Paul's a great fighter and they want to see him compete.
I know you know this guy. I think it reminds me a lot of Butterbean. When Butterbean was fighting guys that had no chance of beating, everybody loved him.
Yeah.
But once he got beat, the novelty kind of wore off.
Yeah.
And I think that's what would happen with Jake if he were to...
It did happen. He got beat, and the novelty did wear off. That's why he has to get a guy like Tyson and
try to get some credibility back.
When he fought somebody that was actually his age and was actually a boxer and was actually his size, he lost. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not trying to shit on the kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what he's doing. But I mean, come on, man, to be fighting Mike Tyson and, you know.
Another guy you've had some verbal spats with that's been very publicized is Oscar De La Hoya. And I think it goes back to, I think he said you blocked a fight with he and George St. Pierre. Is that where it started from? Or
talk about Jake Paul. Like me and Jake Paul have had whatever.
Right.
You know, Jake Paul's a kid that's out doing his thing. He's trying to make some money, whatever his deal is. Oscar De La Hoya.
Okay.
is a two-faced lying fucking nut job, you know? And yeah, me and Oscar are never going to be cool.
Y'all never going to be cool again.
Never, ever.
But were you cool?
Look at anybody who's ever dealt with Oscar De La Hoya. I don't know if that guy literally has any fucking buddy who's his real friend.
Were you guys ever cool at any point in time?
We were cool. I mean, obviously, for all the things I think about De La Hoya personally, you know, as a fighter, Oscar was a bad
he was. You know
what I mean?
Yeah.
And Oscar was the real deal. But as a human being, completely different. He and I would go to his fights. I used to promote his fights on my social. I was watching the fight or whatever. Then I go to do Mayweather versus McGregor, and he starts shitting on the fight, yet saying, I would fight McGregor, though. So
yeah,
he's just, I mean, if you look at the history between me and him, you know, I'm going to get into MMA and pay these guys what they deserve to be paid. No, he didn't. And, you know, the guys that were involved in that fight all got fucked.
Right.
He didn't pay them more than they ever made in their careers. He didn't even know half the guys' fucking names on the card. And the list goes on with that guy.
Khabib, he retired. Do you think there's ever a chance that Khabib would come back and fight? Is there a number that you can say, Khabib, we got 20 million, we got 25 million?
I threw the numbers at him, trust me. Habib has more money than he'll ever spend. He doesn't need to fight again. And I think that he sort of lost the desire when his father passed away. And I think it was a father-son thing.
Yeah.
That he had with his dad. And also he's such a good human being that he is truly happy for Islam.
Right.
And what Islam is. And he is fulfilled enough that was his dad's dream, that Habib would reign, then would come Islam. And it's all playing out exactly the way they planned it. I think Habib's in a good place in his life.
Ronda Rousey.
Yep. Greatest athlete I've ever worked with.
Wow. What did she mean for the UFC?
She was huge at the right time and the right place. And women's fighting is where it is today because of her. And she was one of those athletes, like, anything, anywhere, anytime. She was a workhorse, great human being, brilliant. Yeah. The greatest athlete I've ever worked with.
Were you sad when she stepped away?
I was sad that I wouldn't work with her on a daily basis like we did, but I felt like the timing was right. She had done everything she set out to do, not just for her and her career, but what she did for women in fighting in general.
Right. And you see Amanda Nunes come in, and I watched that fight, and I'm looking at the capabilities that Amanda had versus what Ronda.
Well, what happened with Ronda was very unique in that she came in and put this thing on the world stage. This thing being women fighting.
Women fighting, yeah.
She put it on the world stage.
Correct.
Right? At a level that nobody else could have ever done it. And while she was doing what she was doing, building the sport and the UFC and women, all these other women were training to beat her. You know what I mean?
Yes.
She had taken so much on her shoulders at the time. It was literally impossible for her to keep growing as a fighter during that period.
Right. So now we see UFC fighters becoming movie stars. We see Ronda Rousey. We've mentioned her. Conor McGregor. He was in his own movie. Ronda's been in several movies. Mm-hmm. Are you pleased with? Do you like that your fighters, UFC, that they're becoming so big that they're able to brand out and even grow the UFC even more?
Well, you have Conors and Rondas that are very unique.
Yes.
It's hard to take those two and compare them to all the rest.
Right.
You look at, we already talked about Conor, but if you look at Ronda, she came in and blew the UFC up for women, opened the doors for all women to come in. She's written books that have been New York Times bestsellers. She's written, she just wrote a screenplay for her own story. She went into the WWE and became a star.
Yeah.
Sponsorship deals she's done. There's things Ronda's done that will never be done again.
Want to join Club Shay Shay? Become an official member by hitting that subscribe button, where you never know who's going to be joining us for drinks and conversation. Don't be late to the party because you know we like to do something before two something.